Welcome to HUD's online training series on the Integrated Disbursement and Information System, also known as IDIS, for the Housing Trust Fund Program. In this training, we will review subfunds and subgrants. We'll go over the purpose of HTF subfunds and subgrants and why they are important. And then we'll talk about when you need to subfund and subgrant your HTF funds and demonstrate how to do this in IDIS. First, let's review subfunds. Subfunds are used in IDIS to ensure compliance with HTF regulations, such as the 10% limitation on administrative costs. Subfunds are how you set aside HTF funds for a specific use. In IDIS, they are often referred to as fund types. There are 5 fund types for HTF and IDIS. AD administration. AD funds are intended for administration activities. HB homebuyer. HB funds are intended for home ownership activities. RO rental operating assistance and reserves. RO funds are intended for rental operating assistance. SU subgrant. SU funds are intended for rental housing activities undertaken by an HTF subgrantee. And EN entitlement. EN funds are intended for rental housing activities undertaken by the HTF grantee, as well as any eligible HTF activities that do not fit one of the other fund types. AD and EN fund types are automatically set up, while HB, RO, and SU fund types are created by the grantee only if the grantee funds these activities. HTF regulations outline spending limitations on certain activity types, such as homebuyer housing and rental operating assistance. IDIS enforces these limits through the different fund types. When used properly, IDIS ensures these limitations are not exceeded. That's why it's important to make sure that you always use the appropriate fund type to fund your HTF activities in IDIS. Next, let's talk about subgrants. Subgrants are a subset of subfunds. Subgrants are used to set aside funds for a specific HTF subgrantee as defined in 24 CFR 93.2. It is important to keep in mind that according to this definition, a developer or a recipient, as defined in the regulations, is not considered an HTF subgrantee. If the state is funding all of its projects directly to developers or recipients, then subgrants and the SU subfund are not necessary. Remember, you should only subgrant HTF funds in IDIS if you are utilizing HTF subgrantees. Let's say the state of Texas has decided to allocate a portion of its 2019 HTF funds to an HTF subgrantee, Travis County. In order to do this, both the state and Travis County must have an approved HTF allocation plan as part of their respective consolidated plans and annual action plans. The state then executes a subgrantee written agreement that meets all the requirements at 24 CFR 93.404 C1 with Travis County for $3 million. Once the subgrantee written agreement has been executed, the state can set aside funds for Travis County and IDIS by creating an SU subgrant for the county. Let's create an SU subgrant for Travis County. First, we will need to create the SU subfund. Remember, subgrants are a subset of subfunds, so before subgranting SU funds, we must first establish an SU subfund. Only 2 of the 5 HTF fund types in IDIS are automatically generated, EN and AD. The remaining 3 fund types are optional, which means that if you would like to use them, you must first create them by creating a subfund for that fund type. To create an SU subfund, once logged into IDIS, select the Grant tab in the top right of the window. The Search Grant screen will load. On the left toolbar, select Add under the Subfund menu. This will load the Add Subfund screen. First, using the search criteria, select the HTF program and 2019 grant year and select Search. We are selecting the 2019 grant year here because the state chose to utilize Travis County as an HTF subgrantee for 2019, as specified earlier. An option to add the SU fund type will be displayed. Select Add Fund Type for the SU fund type to load the Add Subfund screen. On this screen, enter an amount in the only editable field on the screen labeled Authorized Amount for this subfund. When complete, select Save. The View Subfund screen will load and the message stating Subfund Added will appear in the top left. The authorized amount of the SU subfund must be large enough to accommodate the subgrant you want to create in the next step. Since our HTF subgrantee agreement with Travis County is for $3 million, we want to make sure our SU subfund has an authorized amount of at least $3 million. Sometimes it is necessary to edit a subfund after it has been created. To edit a subfund, once logged into IDIS, select the Grant tab in the top right of the window. On the left toolbar, select Search under the Subfund menu. This will load the Search Subfund screen. First, using the search criteria, select the HTF program, SU fund type, and 2019 grant year, and click Search. An option to edit or view the SU subfund will be displayed. Click Edit, and the Edit Subfund screen will load. Enter $3 million as the new authorized amount for this SU subfund and click Save. The View Subfund screen will load and a message stating Subfund Updated will appear in the top left. Now that the SU subfund is in place, let's create an SU subgrant to reflect the $3 million subgrantee agreement with Travis County. Once logged into IDIS, select the Grant tab in the top right of the window. On the left toolbar, select Add under the Subgrant menu. This will load the Add Subgrant screen. First, select HTF as the program and 2019 as the grant year and the grant number. Next, select the SU fund type and click Select Organization. The Select Recipient screen will load. Enter Travis County in the Organization Name field and click Search. From the search results, locate and select Travis County. Click the Select button to return to the Add Subgrant screen with the organization selected. Enter the amount of the subgrantee agreement in the Subgrant Authorized Amount field. Then click Save. The View Subgrant screen will load and a message stating Subgrant Added will appear in the top left. The authorized amount of the SU subgrant must match the amount specified in your executed HTF subgrantee agreement. Just like before, you can edit the authorized amount of the subgrant after it has been created. To edit a subgrant, once logged into IDIS, select the Grant tab in the top right of the window. On the left toolbar, select Search under the Subgrant menu. This will load the Search Subgrant screen. First, enter Travis County in the Subgrant to Organization Name field and select 2019 as the grant year, then click Search. An option to edit or view the subgrant will be displayed. Click Edit. The Edit Subgrant screen will load. Enter the new amount in the new Subgrant Authorized Amount field and click Save. The View Subgrant screen will load and a message stating Subgrant Updated will appear in the top left. Now that the SU subgrant has been set up, these SU funds can be used to fund rental housing activities undertaken by Travis County. Let's say that after several weeks, Travis County has executed a written agreement with Developer X for the construction of 10 new rental housing units at 40 Lone Star Avenue. Now that a project-specific written agreement has been executed, an IDIS activity can be set up for the 40 Lone Star Avenue project. You can see how to set up an IDIS activity in the Setup, Fund, Draw, and Complete HTF activities in IDIS module of this online training series. Remember, you can only set up an IDIS activity once you have an executed written agreement for a specific local project as defined in 24 CFR 93.2. After the IDIS activity for 40 Lone Star Avenue has been set up, the activity can be funded. Be sure to use the subgranted SU funds to fund this activity. Congratulations! You have completed the Subfund and Subgrant IDIS module. Additional resources on the Housing Trust Fund program and IDIS are available on the HUD Exchange. You can access the IDIS Ask a Question desk if you have additional questions. You are now ready to move on to one of the additional training modules featured in this online training series.